Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing so good today. So, my name is Emily Jones, and this is Tensegrity Flow Yoga. And today I thought we would take things a little different direction for the month of July. So, the month of July, we celebrate the 4th of July, our Independence Day. And it's such a representation of freedom, freedom for our country, and also freedom for the individual. And yoga also is all about freedom. It gives us freedom not only in our physical body to have comfort and a healthy physical body, but it gives us freedom in our mind. And there are so many techniques in yoga designed to help do just that through various meditation techniques. And one of my very favorite techniques is it's given through the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is kind of the Bible of yoga philosophy. And it's called Pratipaksha Bhavana. And it's a big word that means to replace a negative thought with a positive one. So Pratipaksha Bhavana, this is how it is spelled. For me, it's always very helpful to have something written out so I can actually see it. So I'm just going to hold it up near the camera so you can get a good visual, so you can see it's spelled exactly how it sounds, Pratipaksha Bhavana. And again, it means to replace a negative thought with a positive one. And in order to do that, we first have to recognize when we have negative thoughts. And it might sound simple, but have you ever had this situation occur where you may have had an argument or a disagreement or something, very triggering to your emotional mental state, and you can't stop thinking about it? You're ruminating and going over the conversation in various different ways. Should have said this, gonna say that, it just totally, replaying the situation in your mind, and it just won't stop. And every time you think you've forgotten to, you're over it, here you are thinking about it again. And we can spend days, sometimes weeks or months, sometimes a lifetime going over these things from the past, these negative triggering situations, conversations that occur in our life. And so the first thing we have to do is recognize when this is happening, when we're in this negative cycle, this hamster wheel of negative thinking. And then once we recognize the thought, so there has to be a mindfulness present first. So you recognize when you're thinking negatively. And then when you catch yourself thinking negatively, then you have to replace that thought with something of a more positive nature. So it can be just the exact opposite of whatever it is. So if you're thinking, let's say something very simple as, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting old and I'm useless." It's terrible to say, but we say these things to ourselves. Things we would never say to another, we say to ourselves. So the opposite of that would be, I'm useful in my wisdom. I'm powerful in my age. Anything, that's just off the top of my head. But replacing a negative thought with a positive one, whatever it might be. So first you have to catch yourself thinking negatively, and then you have to replace it with a positive thought. And so we can use the practice to help us with this. And the way the yoga works is while we're doing our physical asana practice is a great time when we're slowing down, when we've slowed down through our day, taking a moment, a little vacation from our life during our time on the mat, to recognize how often the mind actually is somewhere else. So it can happen hundreds, sometimes thousands of times. We have so many thoughts during the course of an hour. It can happen repeatedly where you're trying to remain focused on your breath, which is always the cue. Focus on your breath, focus on your breathing, focus on your way your body feels with your breath, focus on the way your breath feels in your body, these type of cues. But we still may be pulled into an external thought. It happens so quickly. And sometimes we're there for a very long time before we catch ourselves actually thinking something outside of focusing on the breath. So all you do when you catch yourself thinking something else outside of the breath and the feeling of the body and the breath and the breath and the body is to just bring yourself back to the thought of the breath. And again, it's called the monkey's mind. And the mind will jump from thought to thought to thought to thought. And it happens so quickly. So what I would like to encourage you to do during your next practice, in every practice thereafter, is to really focus on the breath and then witnessing when you are somewhere else, when your mind is in the past, the future, the to-do list, whatever it might be. Something other than the task at hand, which is simply to focus on your breath. It's so simple. It's so simple it almost sounds silly to say it, but it's not easy. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. But when we do begin to master these very simple techniques, then it's kind of easy to apply across your life. And that's why people who do yoga tend to have a very easygoing spirit and a sense of calm and peaceness, tranquility about them, is because they're mastering techniques like Pratipaksha Bhavana, replacing a negative thought with a positive one. So I'd like to go through a very short practice with you right now, and let's practice just this. Let us practice cultivating a sense of mindfulness when we have our mind is shifted from our breath and our body. Recognize what the thought is. Instead of analyzing it, there's no analyzing, there's no finishing the conversation going on in your head. You just stop it. You just stop and return to your breath. Okay? And then outside of this mat, later on, anytime you catch yourself thinking of negative thoughts, something that is of anger, jealousy, anything that brings a negative emotion, then just simply replace it with a positive one and watch things begin to change in your life very, very quickly. Okay, so let's begin by coming onto our mat. We're going to take a comfortable seat. And this is going to be a very easy practice, something that anyone can do. And you don't have to sit how I'm sitting. You can find another comfortable seat if that feels like it makes more sense in your body. I'll turn a little bit of music. And close your eyes. Begin to bring your attention to your breathing. Begin to slow down your breath. Begin to count your inhale. So we're going to inhale to the count of 4. So inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. A little pause at the top. And then exhale 4, 3, 2, and 1. And again, let's inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale 4, 3, 2, and 1. One more time. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, and then 1. Now trying to move in time with that count, in time with your breath. Let's go into a tabletop. Remember, we're staying mindful of our breathing, moving with the breath. On the exhale, we'll go into a cat tilt, rounding the spine. Locking the tailbone. And as you breathe in, lift your sit bones toward the sky. Drop the belly toward the floor, looking upward. And then again, exhale, rounding the spine into your cat tilt. If your back is a little tight each time we do the repetitive movement, you'll notice things begin to release, soften, lift. And then again, exhale. And then last time, inhale into your dog tilt. And then we're going to lift into downward facing dog. So we'll tuck the toes, lift the knees off the floor, and then the hips up and back toward the wall behind you. And then to release the hamstrings, we'll pedal the feet. So softly pedaling your feet and moving in time with your breath. So your breath and your body are completely linked, moving together as if one can't happen without the other. And then we'll hold downward facing dog, letting the sitting bones rise, pressing the legs back. And then come back down onto your hands and knees. And as we come to our hands and knees, we're going to bring our right foot forward between the hands into a low lunge. And as we find our lunge posture, we'll let the hands come up. The shoulders slide back and down. And as we hold and breathe here, see again, can you keep your mind present? So the mind is directed. You are directing the rays of the attention of your mind's focus. Release. We'll bring the hands down and then go back into the hands and knees. And then do the other side. So bringing the left foot forward. And as we come up, allowing the hands to rest on the front leg, shoulders roll back. Stretching the front of the hips. And again, breathing in a way that changes the shape of your body, changes the shape of your ribs. The deeper you breathe, the easier it will be to maintain the mindfulness, the meditation of staying present. And then let's release. We'll bring our hands down. And then we're going to step back again into downward facing dog. Now, to come into a standing posture from here, we'll walk our hands back to our feet. Just step the hands back, and if that's not possible, maybe walk your feet to your hands. Either is fine. Hands to the hips, and inhale. We'll stand all the way up. And as we come into standing, then we'll be at the top of the mat. So go ahead and step forward to the top of your mat, and then inhale your arms up to the sky. And then exhale, forward fold here. So reaching the chest out over the legs. Maybe use a block. I really like blocks under the hands. It helps to take weight out of your hamstrings. Helping to release the hamstrings. And then release, bringing the hands back to the floor. Let's step back into a plank. And you can find full plank, or maybe bring your knees down into a modified plank. Let it be just enough to keep things interesting for you, so it shouldn't be so easy that you can be tempted to think about other things. But it shouldn't be so hard either that the mind is agitated and wants to quit. So keep yourself right on the edge, just experimenting with the edge of being challenging, but not so challenging that it's no fun. All right, let's lower all the way to our belly. You can bring your knees down as you come to your belly. We're touching the forehead to the floor. And then we're going to roll the shoulders back and lift the chest up into a baby cobra. So we're going to do it 3 times. So we can go deeper each time. We'll lift up into baby cobra and then exhale, release. And then we'll come up a bit higher. So we're going to roll the shoulders back, this time using a bit more core muscles and some arms to lift. And then exhale, release. And now coming up all the way into your full expression of the posture. So as you come up, you'll use your hands just enough, not so much that you force your spine into an extension, but enough that your arms are supporting the spine in its extension. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed. Keep your elbows wide, armpits spacious. And then release, come all the way down. We'll rest with the head on the floor. Go ahead and make a pillow with your hands, bend your knees, and windshield wiper your shins from right to left. And witnessing where your mind goes. Are you still present? 100% living in the present moment, living in your body's movements, experiencing everything there is to experience. And then we'll release, bring the legs down. Let's press up back into that hands and knees. And then we'll go back into child's pose. So as we slide our hips back to child's pose, extending your chest forward, relaxing any tension you might feel in your back. Breathe deeply. And then return into your hands and knees. Let's go back into a seated position. So we'll come back onto our sitting bones. And just like we did on our hands and knees, we'll do cat-cow, but from a seated position, sitting here on the sit bones. So inhale, lift the chest up to the sky. And as you exhale, we'll round the spine, holding on to the knees. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift the heart up. And exhale, round the spine. And now let's come into a seat here where we're going to bring both of our feet together and let our knees go wide. So this is called Baddha Konasana, where the feet go together, the knees wide. And you can use blocks here underneath or books or, rolled up blankets or anything under your knees if that feels like it's too much to let the knees just kind of dangle and hang. You do want to have some support. And then we'll bring the chest forward over the legs. So the next couple postures we're going to hold for a little bit longer. And this is where it becomes very tempting for the mind to become preoccupied in other thoughts. So practicing our cultivation of the present moment, witnessing of our thoughts, staying present, and only focusing and only thinking on breathing. So as we're here, breathing in through the nose, breathing out. And I'll be quiet for a bit so you can breathe and practice witnessing your breath without the distraction of my voice. We'll stay here for 3 more breaths, so 3 more rounds of breath. You might notice your body beginning to loosen up a bit. You might go deeper into your postures. Inhale, let's come up. All right, and then the next one, we're going to take our right leg, extend it out in front, and we'll let the knee go off to the side into head to knee pose, and you can bring a block and place it under the knee here. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of your head, and as you exhale, we'll fold forward over the front leg. And again, be in a position where you're relatively comfortable, so not painful. We're not looking to injure or to experience pain, so back off enough that you're comfortable. But don't be so comfortable that you're bored. And focus only on your breath. Focusing on the sensation of your breath in your body. Inhale, we'll rise up and do the other side, extending the right leg, bending the left knee, and then allowing the knee to drop open to the side. With or without a block is fine. Be on the front edge of your sitting bones. Lift up through the chest, and exhale, fold forward over the leg. Finding that perfect position for you to hold and breathe. And then inhale, let's come up. And now we'll do both legs out. Lifting, and then exhale, folding forward. Noticing the self-talk. What is happening? What is going on? What's the conversation like? Can you stay neutral? Witnessing of your breath and your body without having to have a commentary, a constant commentary. Can you just simply witness? Okay, now let's come up. And now we'll lie down onto the back. As we slowly come onto our back, we'll hug our knees into the chest, rock a few times. And then we'll bring our feet down onto the floor. Take the feet to the edges of the mat, and then windshield wiper the shins from the right side to the left side. And you'll notice when we're moving and a bit distracted, then it can be easier to keep the mind directed. But when we become still, without the movements, can you still keep your mind as directed? Or do you become then distracted and often to some other place in your mind? So as we enter in our last posture, our final posture, Shavasana, the queen of all still poses, corpse pose, completely still. This is the big test. So as we come into this final posture, very easy to perform. Just lying still, relaxing your body. And if a thought enters your mind, and it will, the thoughts will come, but imagine the thoughts blow away like a cloud on a windy day. So they're not to be analyzed. The conversation isn't to be completed. Just when the thoughts appear, imagine them blowing away like a cloud on the windy day, dissipating, dissolving in the wind. And then starting to deepen your breath. Long breath in and slow breath out. Let's begin to count the breath, 4 counts, inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then as we roll to our side, let's do it for 4 counts as we breathe in. So inhale as you move, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the exhale, we press up into a seat, 4, 3, 2, and then 1. 100% coordinated breath. As we find the same position that we started our practice, we'll bring our hands to our heart, bow to honor the self within each other. Namaste. So thank you for joining me for this practice. And how did you do? Were you able to recognize when your mind was wandering? And so it's not a matter of if your mind will wander or not. It will wander. It's really a matter of how will you catch it? How quickly will you catch your wandering mind and redirect it to your breath? So let that be part of your practice, and let Pratipaksha Bhavana be part of your daily practice off of the mat. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch my video today. It's really been fun presenting it to you. Have a great afternoon, a great morning or evening, whatever time of day that you're watching. Namaste.